A German Autobahn high-speed test, an efficiency test, opening BMW logos, splitting BMW logos, a lounge interior with curved display, and why am I allowed to damage this big double kidney? This is now to come with Thomas an Autogefühl with the all-new BMW iX. Is it the best full-size electric SUV out there? Let's find out. Let's go. The all-new BMW iX with a huge double kidney in the front. Yeah, there's a very special feature there to come. This one here has also the option of this Titan bronze look, so this color nuances that are also continued all over the vehicle. The headlamps, standard LED, optional, which you can also see here, the laser lights with extended high beam function, and definitely a very strong stance here in the front for the all-new iX. And they have a new concept called 샤이테크. For example, here in the middle part, they have the sensor, and it is hidden in a way that you don't see that it's a big sensor. By the way, if you look very closely, you can see here like the heating lines inside the double kidney. And this is actually this here, so it's kind of like an inside layer. And this one then keeps the sensor from being frozen all over the place. So also in winter times it keeps clean and does the job. And the fill-in for the wiper fluid is right here underneath the logo. The length is at 4.95 meters or 195 inches. So it has the length of a BMW X5. It is as flat as a BMW X6 and has the wheels of the BMW X7, and these are the optional 22-inch wheels, really massive. It comes standard already with 20-inch wheels, then optional 21, also included in the sports package, which is also here equipped with this vehicle with some sporty accentuations, and then optional the biggest ones right here. And you can see here the roof line falls a little bit like here for wind efficiency, and also there's kind of like a recess right here also for wind efficiency, and then the big iX logo right there. The door handles are on the inside kinda, once again also for wind efficiency. And what range figure will we score? This will be super interesting, I can promise. And suspension wise, a base iX would come with a steel suspension. An option, you can get the air suspension here on both axles, and also rear axle steering that reduces the turning circle by about a meter, because then the rear wheels are turning in the opposite direction than the front wheels. That gives you more agility, fakes, so to speak, a shorter wheelbase. In the rear we can see a very clean design. The tail lamps are very slim right there, and it doesn't look that bulky because, again, I said this recess, which is there also for wind efficiency. As for the acceleration figures, the entry model is at 6.1 seconds, the xDrive 40, and here the xDrive 50. This is the one with the bigger battery already. Acceleration figures of 1 kilometer or 62 miles an hour, 4.6 seconds. Dual motors, of course, front and rear. It's already quite powerful. And here is a comparison. We have the iX in white, just as it appears outside. It's always good to see the different colors than really, in real daytime light. Or what about a blue one? Here also with a roof box and a bike carrier at the rear. Depending on where the light comes from, this blue looks a little bit darker, for example here. But when there's more light, the color appears a little bit more matte, I would say. Turning indicators look like this. Looks actually quite cool. And that's how it looks like in the rear. And here you can also see a nice comparison between the wheels. Here you can see the 22-inch wheels in black, and directly next to it, at the blue vehicle then, there are the 22-inch wheels in the bright styling. Well, me personally, I don't need the roof box, but the blue exterior color here, yeah, of course, Thomas Blue, that's my way to go. Well, and you cannot open the hood yourself, but that's what's under the hood here in the cutaway model. For example, also a 12-volt starter battery. So actually to wake up the big battery, so even the electric vehicles need the small 12-volt batteries. And here I have one cell module. This is 0.2 kilowatt. And interesting is then 500 of these are packed here in the battery pack. So 0.2 times 500 is then the 105 kilowatt hour battery for the bigger model. So something around 600 kilometers or 370 miles is the official figure. Will we reach that? We will try exactly that today in the driving part. There is also a smaller battery for the smaller model at 71 kilowatt hours. This one somewhere than 400 kilometers, 250 miles. And recharging, wow, that thing is huge. 11 kilowatt AC, and 150 kilowatt DC for the small battery, and here for the big battery 195 kilowatt. And now I have the official permission to damage a double kidney of a BMW. Why? I'll show you right here. So you can see here we have a scratch, and it's even that deep that I can really feel it with my finger. And the thing is, there's an additional PU layer, so polyurethane layer, on top of it with a memory function. And now you have two possibilities. Either put the car out to the sun, maybe you live in Texas or in Spain or in Italy in summertime, then it's hot enough. You need 30 degrees Celsius or temperatures in the 80s or something, 90s in Fahrenheit, or use a hairdryer on the car on the double kidney. Wow, it's actually already gone. I mean, it's kind of course, a little bit hot, but I can't feel anything anymore. So before I could really feel the scratch, the depth of the scratch, and now it's kind of like a completely, slick surface again. And here, one more time, once again, really visible scratch, and then the hairdryer action. And it's gone. You can actually just open the vehicle with your smartphone and then just approach it, and it's basically automatically open. And then door closing sound is, it's frameless door, so it's not that sophisticated actually. Yeah, we know you can use your smartphone as a key, but I would rather stick with the classic key fob. It looks quite fancy and is also pretty light. Then inside of the doors, here with microfiber, so it's really cool and very soft. Then these seat controls are at the inside of the doors. We know it from Mercedes that here they are still, movable, so you have kind of feedback. It's not the most practical thing. I think it's rather practical to have it at, the lower part of the seat. And also there are reflections. This looks cool from the crystalline layout, but when the sun is coming, from the outside, it can blind you while driving, so that's actually not that good. But gladly, the crystalline applications are an option. So this is how it would look from the base model. It looks also quite stylish and elegant, and I would really recommend to stick with these because they are not blinding you. So the other one look more fancy something, but these ones are definitely more practical. Here we can see the CFK, carbon fiber reinforced plastics parts of the chassis, pretty cool. Seating position, nice, upright, very comfortable. Steering wheel, up and down, in and out, electric control, and you have a very good panoramic view to the front, really open space atmosphere. That's the main difference, for example, to an X5, X6, X7, this cockpit layout. Interior overview, really unique styling, definitely looks like from a concept vehicle, but it's able to drive and to be bought right now. The screen's 14.9 on the right side, 12.3 inch on the left side, and this kind of like free floating middle console, and also the steering wheel. So everything really with a unique setup. I think they've done a good job to have a differentiation here on the market. And what about the ambient lighting? Well, they didn't put too much in the central part. It's rather at the sides. You see here the speakers inside of the doors. Also here at the rear, at the inside of the doors. At the rear it's even more actually. You can see here this light strip here at the inside window also has a reflection in the glass. That's actually quite fancy. Wow, that looks really cool. Let's take a look at the driver's side. There are the same things are happening, and also here in the rear. So nice new ideas definitely. But what about you? I mean, I would have wished something more ambient lighting, not only in the floor right there, but also, in the top parts somewhere, But what's your take on that? Completely new steering wheel, very unique form, but looks actually quite fancy. And the coolest thing to me is you still have hard buttons here, for example, for setting the cruise control. On the right side for the digital instruments, yes, there are also some capacitive buttons on it, but at least they kept a mix. These are infrared sensors here. They are visible for the camera, but not for the human eye. Interesting here that these displays, this, you know, how it normally looks, and then you can also change things here. For example, you can change the whole layout. So this is possible like this or like this, or then the contents here. So for example, you can have, you know, like range, or here then GPS view in it. Overall, you get along with that quite well. And head-up display, I picked a place here where you can also see the visualization of the map guidance. So it's a very nice option, especially then when you see some GPS guidance there. As for the infotainment system, OS 8, operating system 8, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks fancy, definitely. This is the map. This looks kind of familiar for BMW. And you also have another main menu. You can access it right here, but from the looks, this is more like 90s, isn't it? You know, like it's like, I don't know, like Windows 95. Sorry about that, BMW OS engineers, but it's true, isn't it? Tell me in the comments. And I think overall it's not such an easy system to get along with. I think it is more complicated than the system you had before. I really love the OS 7. I think it was also better than OS 6. But this one here, I think, is a step backwards. It has more functionality. At the same time, it's more complicated. CarPlay integration is really cool, all over the screen right here. And then let's listen to this optional Bowers & Wilkins sound system. Wow. Yeah, that's really crystal clear, and you know, there's a very big resonance room here, definitely with the vehicle. So that's definitely very cool. And about the climate changing thing, yeah, I mean, here you can always have it at this point. It's okay. Still, manual climate dials are better. And then for seat heating and steering wheel heating here, for example, who thought about this? I mean, it's like, look at that and tell me immediately, like, what shall I do now? You know, like, so I don't really get it that much. But even more annoying, the turning off or the startup sound. There we go. Yeah, also composed by Hans Zimmer. But yeah, I mean, we know he's, you know, he's a great, majestic songwriter. But this sound, not so in love with that, are you? And this B&O system has 30 speakers and even a 4D function. And here you can set it also how strong it shall be. And then you kind of feel some vibration here, especially in this area at the seat, so at your lower back, I would say. So that it makes sense to go for this very expensive sound system. It's 5,000 euros extra for the 30 speaker B&O sound system with the 4D sound. Well, this vibration in the back, it's not really necessary. To me, it was kind of a little bit annoying. And also the sound was good, but not 5,000 euros good, you know. The Burmester sound system from Mercedes is way better indeed. So, and for this vehicle here, you go 12 speaker bass, 18 speaker Harman Kardon, 30 speaker Bowers & Wilkins. Yeah, I would go either with the bass system to save money, or then go one step further for the Harman Kardon system to get a little bit more sophisticated sound. But this extra price here for the Bowers & Wilkins system is not justified. Here, the camera cleaning function, you have to have the doors closed and the ignition on, and then you can clean front, rear, or both cameras at the same time, and that looks amazing. Yes, that's the cleaning function of the front camera, and you saw how it comes out. Yep, and that rear wiping function looked even more spectacular, didn't it? Pretty cool that you have this open middle console here in the front. So there's, transition here, for example, for your suction mounts. And then we have cup holders. They're also adaptive here in the front. And you can put a smartphone actually then up here. No, it doesn't fall through because they're being kept right here. And you maybe know from the X5 or 5 series here in the inductive charging pad, it gets too hot, especially iPhones. But here, they have now introduced a cooling for that inductive charging pad, so they suck away the hot air. And then this top console, also this, you know, crystalline turning and pressing knob. It's good to have that because then you don't have to do everything via touch while driving. To change the driving modes is like here, these are like capacitive buttons, but inside the matte wood. That's a cool idea. It's better than the, you know, fingerprint thing with the high gloss black. But still, to get to this point here while driving is a little bit distracting. And here, there you can see what I mean. This is not only on camera, it does blind you, definitely, and the same happens with the inside of the doors with these controls for the seats. So it looks super fancy, and I mean, it also looks amazing when it's blinding by the light here. But then again, while driving, not that pleasant. So you do not get the crystalline lever right there, which is also in a way better because it's less blinding. The only thing is you do not get the nice matte wood underlay for that. So this of course is more this high gloss black thing. Doesn't look that fancy, but still no glare would be priority one for me. Shifting lever, and again this just only on flickers on camera. So like this, D mode, B mode is then for more recuperation, D with automatic recuperation. How that works, explaining you while driving. So it's actually an easy solution, and again this crystalline work. This one does not blind, you know, so much because, yeah, kind of probably the angle that is set in. And then we have the electro chromatic sunroof, which is really amazing. Look at that. This is then looking through, and this is then for more sun covering. Wow, really amazing. And when you look through it and the sun is behind it, then it looks like in Dune, you know, like with this, you know, very yellowish perspective on the sun and so on. So yeah, the kids will love to play around with that. Here, there's the button up top there. Magic. And here we go, there's the sun through the panoramic roof, and then let's make it Arrakis. Ooh. Options like a, you know, proper jacket hanger here. You don't have to go for it, but you can. Two USB-C chargers. Of course, when someone is sitting in the back, I would rather remove that actually. And then also the same kind of asymmetric microfiber fabric setup that looks lovely. Also in the rear, this console is rather free floating. Here temperature control rather classic, as we know it from other BMW generations, and here also space and no middle tunnel at all. That shows that this platform, this chassis was purpose built indeed for this EV. Middle armrest with fabric, and then you can release these cupolas here. And plenty of space here in the rear, a lot of legroom, headroom also really a lot. So remember, this one here is flatter than the BMW X6. It's almost comparable in length, you know, with the X5. But I mean, so much space. This is really using this EV platform, and of course also on the middle seat, 5 tall adults, no problem, no middle tunnel here whatsoever. Yeah, that's really good. The only thing is you can actually fold the seat, the bench from here, release it here. But then again, that's the only thing you can do. You cannot adjust the angle or something. However, it has a good angle, and it's also very comfortable here to sit in the back. There is no trunk, and the trunk has 500 up to 1,750 liters. See here the height for backpacks, no problem. You can of course also remove the whole thing just with a little force. Then let's put it out like this. The length here at 1 meter or 40 inches here with my nice new black ruler, and here you can see the width is more than 1 meter or 40 inches. So yeah, it's like 1 meters 5 or like 41, 42 inches. So that's actually really good. The height then here to the cover 47 centimeters or 19 inches, and the overall height is 75 centimeters or 30 inches. So very well usable. It could be maybe, you know, a little bit less shallow here. Then again, we have an even loading sill, and underneath space for the charging cables, and also has this clicking in effect. So overall, I think I'm quite happy with it. Right and left flipping is possible here from the right side. That's a very good function, and you see it folds really flat. So a very well usable SUV definitely. And here you can, yeah, reach that 2 meter or 78 inches mark easily. Agile driving first before the regular driving lounge. Let's go. That was 0 to 60 kilometers an hour. Wow, that went quick. Super powerful here, this xDrive 50 version. Yeah, a lot of fun, and also very direct steering here. And the batteries in the lower part of the vehicle centralized, as we saw earlier. This brings a lot of agility, plus the rear axis steering, so the car feels smaller and more agile and lighter than it actually is. That acceleration was even uphill, so even more impressive, and now even more uphill performance and agile driving. We're driving up the Obersalzberg, yes, the Obersalzberg, where Hitler had his Berghof. And well, this region luckily turned from terror to tourism and from pain to pleasure, because it's such a beautiful area. And they also have a documentation center right here to show, you know, what has happened, and of course that this never happens again. So we can go out, enjoy some car reviews. So here we go. Great agile driving. Wow. Due to the rear axis steering, it really feels more agile, and this is also a main difference then to the combustion engine brothers like the BMW X5, X6, X7. Due to the low center of gravity, this feels so much more agile. It doesn't feel like a full-size SUV almost, and wow, having so much fun. Would never have so much agile driving fun here in a combustion engine SUV at that size. This is really, these tires are also hooking up so great. I mean, it's huge, and it feels and drives like a go-kart and has always more power. And this is also a major difference to a Tesla Model X. This one here is so much better in the agile driving. Yes, the Tesla has other big advantages, definitely. And we also have, of course, an extensive review of that. But in the agile driving fun, wow, this one is probably now king of the big SUVs. But there's more, so much more to tell you about this vehicle in the normal Thomas's driving lounge. And you can already see here camera image, and we have the augmented reality function, so the arrows then that are showing me where to take the next exit and the turn and so on. And the first thing that comes to your mind is it's extremely silent in here. So we were skeptical before because there's no dual insulation glass at the side, but indeed that doesn't seem to matter. It's extremely silent in here, and probably the most silent drive in a BMW car overall yet, and they are very well insulated, you know. So this is extremely impressive how silent this vehicle is. Yeah, I mean, we'll soon also drive a little bit faster on the motorway, German Autobahn, and see how that one turns out. So we can show you a first acceleration, and let's see. So we always have the same power, by the way. So you don't have to pick in a different driving modes, but you can, for example, go to sports mode if you like, and then power it a little bit up from the throttle input. So from 45 kilometers an hour, let's go. Plop, 105. That was 110. Wow. I mean, this is like a 2.5 ton SUV with a big battery pack, and whew, this was really like instant acceleration, and there will be more to come, you know, with the later version. We'll also keep you updated here on Autogefühl, but this one here, of course, 2 motors, 1 front, 1 in the rear. Wow, really impressive. Rear wheel bias, definitely, we felt that. So the rear electric motor is always the stronger one, and you still keep this, you know, BMW characteristic rear wheel drive. And here, by the way, in a slalom, again, it's a high SUV, but it feels so much sportier than the combustion engine models, because in BMW X5, X6 and so on would be the comparable models size-wise, and due to the low center of gravity, this feels so much sportier. Steering wheel, by the way, here is a little bit, you know, light, but it's not that unnatural, and then becomes a little bit more, you know, a little bit tighter to the outside. So it's a pretty direct steering feel indeed, and slalom is indeed a lot of fun. The car doesn't shake up too much, however, it's not too stiff. So you have air suspension on both axles here, of course, and that's also a good decision. You have good comfort at the same time. Here in the sports mode, for example, the suspension is tuned a little bit stiffer, you know. So what does happen in sport mode? First of all, throttle input, you know, it's just more aggressive then. So for little personal throttle, directly good acceleration. Then the suspension, air suspension, is set on a stiffer note. However, you do not get more power by this. So that's the thing that sometimes happens in electric vehicles, but it's not the case right here. By the way, first consumption average at the moment at 17 kWh on 1 kilometer, so that's 27 kWh on 100 miles. And considering the big battery of 105 kWh, that would indeed come to the, close to the official figure of 600 kilometers or 370 miles of range. Very interesting. And now, acceleration from 90 kilometers an hour, let's go. Top speed, 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, electronically limited, and that went super quick. Yeah, at 190 kilometers an hour, it kind of slowed down, but other than that, wow, this is like, the current consumption figure is like close to 50 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. So that would mean straight road, I could drive, it's very interesting. I could drive like 200 kilometers or 125 miles with top speed 200 kilometers or 125. That's interesting. It would really mean I could drive 200 kilometers an hour for 200 kilometers or 125 miles an hour for 125 miles. Interesting. Noise insulation wise, again, at about 150 kilometers an hour, it's like nothing, it feels like I would be driving slowly through the city. 160 kilometers an hour now, only in Germany, where you then still get overtaken with 160 kilometers an hour. This is amazing. I mean, wow. This is like, we hear that like at 100 miles per hour and there's hardly any wind noise picking up, and the car is so stable. Here, sports mode here, adaptive air suspension. Now I'm getting on the brakes, by the way, but there's first all the recuperation being used and then the brakes. So even if you hit the brake pedal first, they use all the regeneration. And that's also the reason why the brake disc, showing you that on the outside, are super small for a vehicle of that size, actually. Really impressed now. And even if you are at speed, you can still, now at 130 kilometers an hour, so like 70, 80 miles an hour, and bam, there's still such a harsh acceleration possible. And once again, top speed. Wow, super impressed by that. And here at 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, there's not even harsh wind noise. I mean, how did they do that? And also without the dual insulation glass. Recuperation figure, by the way, here, 200 kilowatt. So you can very quickly recharge this car with going down a hill or hammering the brakes then. This is also pretty impressive, of course. And here I think the sound connection here from this Hans Zimmer sound design really helps you also to get something of a connection to the vehicle, But at the same time, told you, you can also cancel that. Wow, I'm really impressed with driving this one. So many things they have done right here. Comfort is great, traveling feeling is great, acceleration is great, noise insulation is great, the driving dynamics, great, the compromise of sportiness and comfort is great, and the efficiency is also there. Both when we have, like the normal steady driving and also then that even, figures for high-speed driving. I know you guys love that. So driving-wise, we can just say top notch. And another range test from different environment, like slower motorway driving, like 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and countryside driving, mainly countryside driving with some 70, 80 kilometers an hour, so like 50 miles an hour. And this one results here in 19 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, so like something 30 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. This then means some 550 kilometers of range or some 350 miles of range. And now compare our reviews of the Tesla Model X or of the Audi e-tron SUV.